Hello and welcome to the final tutorial of this section. We're going to make the last function of this DQN class, which is going to be, of course, the load function. That naturally comes after the save function. You save your model and then you want to be able to load it whenever you go back to the application. So let's do this. We're going to make def, then load. We call this last function load. Again, this load function will take as argument self. And you probably guess what this self will be for. It will be exactly to load what was saved in the save function. So we will take self.model and of course self.optimizer. So this self here will be for the model and the optimizer. So then colon, and now let's load the model. So since the model is in the lastbrain.pth file, we want to make sure this file exists. And therefore that's what we're going to start with. We're going to make an if condition to make sure that this file exists. And if it exists, we will be loading what we have in the dictionary, which is in this lastbrain.pth file. So we start with an if, then we're going to take our operating system and the path leading to this lastbrain.pth file. So os.path is exactly the path that leads to the working directory folder. So as far as I'm concerned, that's this path, desktop, then my artificial intelligence A to Z folder, then module 1 self-driving car, and then the module 1 self-driving car folder, that is this folder here with the lastbrain.pth file. And then we're going to add dot is file. Is file, this one. So that's a function. So I'm going to add some parentheses. And inside the parentheses, I'm going to input the name of the file. The name of the file that contains the model, that is lastbrain.pth. So we have to input it in quotes. And so I'm entering lastbrain.pth. And so isFile lastbrain.pth will return true if the file lastbrain.pth exists and false if it doesn't exist. And therefore, this if condition means if we have the lastbrain.pth file in our working directory folder, then let's code what's going to happen in that case. In that case, if this file exists, well, first, we're going to print something to say that we're loading the model. So for example, we can say a little arrow and then loading checkpoint with 3 little dots. All right, so that's just to say we're loading the model. And then of course, we're going to load the model. So the model and the optimizer. And we're going to put what we load in a variable that I'm going to call checkpoint equals. And that's where we're going to use the load function to load what was saved in the save function. So of course, this is a function from the torch library. So torch dot, and the name of this load function is simply load. Parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis, according to you, what do we need to input? Well, very simply, we need to input the file that contains our saved model and our saved optimizer. So we simply need to input the name of the file, which is lastbrain.pth. Lastbrain.pth, and we load this file only in the condition that this file exists. So that's why we had to code this if condition here. Okay, so now that we loaded the model and the optimizer, well, what we're going to do is update separately our model and the optimizer. Because actually we loaded the parameters, we loaded the weights and the parameters of the optimizer. So now what we need to do is update our existing model, which is this one, self.model, and our existing optimizer, self.optimizer, with the parameters, with the weights that are in this lastbrain.pth file. So we simply need to make these two updates separately. And to do this, we're going to use a method from the torch modules. So there's going to be inheritance, which will allow us to use this method that is called loadStateDict. And this loadStateDict method will allow us to update all the parameters of our model and our optimizer. So let's do this, and let's start by updating our model. So we take our model, which is self.model. Since self.model inherits from the methods of the torch module, to use the loadStateDict method. So that's the method we're taking from the inheritance. And thanks to this method, we're going to update all the parameters of the model, that is all the weights. And so what we need to input in this loadStateDict method is our checkpoint variable, that is the result of the load function. So checkpoint, then brackets, And now we need to enter the name of the key that corresponds to our model, that corresponds to self.model_state_dict, and that is state_dict. So in checkpoint and the brackets, we enter in quotes state_dict. And this line of code will update your model. That is, it will update the weights, the parameters of your model. And now we need to do the same for the optimizer, and that's going to be almost the same. So I'm going to copy this line, paste it below, and so this time we're going to update not the model but the optimizer, self.optimizer. Then again we use the load state_dict method that inherits from the torch module method, and we apply this function to checkpoint of not state_dict but the key that corresponds to the optimizer, and that is optimizer. So here we just replace state_dict by optimizer. There we go. Here we update the weights of the model, and here we update the parameters of the optimizer. Perfect. And then just to finish, we can print a little done like that. And finally, we just need to specify what happens if this condition is not respected. That is, if there is not a lastbrain.pth file. And so we just need to add an else, then colon. And simply, we're just going to say that there is no such file lastbrain.pth. So we're just going to print something like no checkpoint found. And 3 little dots if you want. All right. And that gives us a functional load function and mostly a functional DQN class. And now, huge congratulations, because our artificial intelligence is ready. You can probably hear by the sound of my voice that I'm getting very excited, because now it's time for the demo. We just made a brain, and we're going to put this brain in the car, and we will see how it is clever enough to do these round trips between the airport and downtown, whatever the road is. So I can't wait to show you the demo. This is going to be in the next section. And until then, enjoy AI!